Yeah, thanks. Thanks, guys, for being on the panel. What does conversational commerce mean to you? What is the exciting aspect of it?
Well, I represent real estate as a platform. So in real estate, primarily, the role of chat is...
So one thing I would just like to say, point out, which is pretty obvious, that in real estate, the value is very high.
Correct.
So unlike, say, for you, Rajesh, or for you, Avi, in real estate, it would be quite different, right? The purpose that something like chat could do.
Correct. Which is why the expectations are also very peculiar to real estate. And I think primarily the role that chat-based solutions play is in the discovery and research phase. Right? Real estate is a lot about research. And typically, a consumer on a platform stays for no less than 4 to 6 months before a final decision is taken to really identify a particular project to invest in and so on and so forth. So right from initial need status where the buyer has started searching, finding things online, till about he or she has taken a decision. There's a lot of research involved in the process. And typically because there has been a lot of opaqueness in the industry in terms of flow of information, so there is a dependence therefore on technology as well. And also it's a liberator for them because this is allowing them to discover information which otherwise they would not have had access to, and therefore take a more meaningful decision. And that's, I think, is fantastic, and that's the role it's playing.
So the conversation, so one of the things is when the person comes back, the person logs in, you have to log into...
you may log in or you may not log in as well.
So my point is that does the platform know this, it's the same person carrying on that conversation, or is it a new conversation each time?
So when the person logs in, yes, you do know. When the person is not logging in, we have processes to figure that out. Whether you can figure out, and therefore what is it that you have been looking at.
Okay. Perhaps there's too much expectation, but that happens with all, I think, new technologies, any new thing, which is that in the first phase there's enormous promise, then there's a sense of, actually it's not going to work for these things, it drops a little, and then some years later again it rises. Okay, that's typically the, I think, the projection that the path that new stuff takes. What is the stuff that you find challenging in terms of the expectation that the business has from, and what is the stuff that gets in the way? So, Prasan, Rajesh, how do you guys deal with this? The same thing. How far should chatbots go?
Yeah, in fact, I'll give you a case to the contrary to what Avi was saying. So, there are cases where consumers specifically request that, listen, we do not wish to speak, but rather share information with us on WhatsApp, say for example, okay? And we have had in our contact centers, last data that I had seen, close to about 70% of the calls that we were doing, they are in some form or the other, consumers or buyers were requesting for information to be shared over text, over a chat, rather than being downloaded to them through a call or so that's.
Well, does it have to do because the values are very large and they are talking about how?
Yes, it also depends on really what the subject matter at hand is. So if someone has to see a project in detail and so on and so forth, for you to spend 20 minutes on a call to really figure that out is cumbersome, and therefore, so there are different use cases which require different kind of solutions. So what Avi was saying, that for them, after 3 prompts, it moves to a human. We have a process where after a certain number of prompts, it actually, kind of goes to a chatbot rather than a human.
How do you do that?
So
how do you say, Acha, now I'm good?
No, so what happens is more often than not, it's on the request of the consumer itself that, listen, we will want to converse more, we want to know more, we want to figure more out, but this is the platform I'll be more comfortable in, and then we'll connect. And another challenge that we face...
It can be time staggered, no?
It is time staggered, absolutely, absolutely. So because you have the buyer with you for a period of 4 to 6 months, right? Planning that entire journey, saying how many times you actually do an intervention in those 6 months, a proactive intervention from a brand's perspective, and how many of those interventions should be through call, through chat, or through any other means, is really a very, very complex algo to write. And we have nuances which are market-wise nuances.
Do you find patterns in this, that in certain types of queries, people prefer chat to a call, or in certain segments or in certain regions, Are there any patterns in this?
Yes, they do. There are very interesting insights that we have got over a period of time. So men again, it's very, very counterintuitive. Men talk more, women prefer more chat. Okay, and there are logics for that, but yeah, that's one.
What is the logic? I'm curious now.
Okay, so typically when the searches in real estate are happening, most of the searches are happening between 11 a.m. to about 3 p.m. types. So men folks are in their office and making good use of office internet and, you know, kind of searching and figuring things out, and if there's a conversation happening at that point of time, they have more often than not enough time, and they also are they also are predisposed to, in this category, you know, unfortunately, whichever you see it, it has been a very masculine category in a way. So they are predisposed to discussing these things, so it comes naturally to them. Okay. For women folks, it's not very natural to start discussing with an agent,
so they prefer
texting. I just want to give you one very interesting example over there. So conversational commerce is playing in very, very interesting ways. We also are building a home interiors business, and he mentioned about video, and I'll just give a very interesting fact and insight about the entire video conversation piece. So we have a process where we run, where once a person who's interested in getting interiors done, home interiors done, has expressed intent, we have a process of having a video chat. Okay, where we converse with the consumer and we discuss the requirement in detail. That's the basic objective of that. Now, see to it, the average duration of that video chat is 46 minutes.
Seriously?
Okay? Yes. A serious consumer who's actually wanting to get the job done and is seeking value and is getting value does not hesitate in spending time with you, right? Of course, there are plethora of other use cases where there's a lot of spamming happening and you are unnecessarily intruding into things. But as long as you are solving a certain problem statement, as long as you're adding a certain value to the consumer is more than willing to stay with you and chat with you and either get query resolved or get something, in some information out of you. So that's a very, very interesting find that we had when we started that business, and it's doing really well that way.
I have to ask you that, is there a clear correlation? The longer they stay, the more they're likely to buy?
It is true.
It is true?
It is true.
Okay.
Yes. We have seen that.
Getting deeper, basically. Yeah?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Prasun?
Yes, it would be different.
How?
Thanks to generative AI, thanks to the development in LLM models across Vernac and a lot of other things, the conversation experience today is very, very different than what it was 2 years ago.
Correct.
And today, chatbots are far more intelligent and intuitive to be able to really resolve your query.
So what will be different 2 years later if you're sitting here?
2 years later, you're asking?
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Well,
not 2 years earlier, yeah. 2 years later.
Okay, that's a difficult one. I think 2 years later, I do expect at least AI to have developed a lot more. And therefore, a lot of solutions which have the backend engine running based on AI and defined algos, they would have refined them to an extent where maybe human intervention becomes as minimal as one can imagine it to be.
Great. Thank you, guys. This was really very good, and I personally learned a lot. Thank you very much, audience. I hope you liked this session.